abaagaana okudda mu Palamenti atoloza tebazeeyo Mathias Mpuuga nsamba olwaleero ennaku z'omwezi 21 omwezi gwa 11 omwaka 2022 abazeeyo mu Palamenti abaagamba tebakyadda mu pulinale paka nga basoose okufuna okunnyonnyolwa okukakasa abantu baffe Museveni gye yabateeka obe yawamba Kibalama n'abale 18 ko n'abo abakyali mu makomera ag'enjawulo n'abo yali mu kuvunaanibwa mu kkooti z'amagye ko n'ettaka ly'emwakyoli Museveni alina oddijjako abalaalo baalitadeko ensonga nnyingi zo yaddala 7 ze baawa nga tebagenda kudda mu Palamenti paka nga zikoleddwako wabula olunaku lwaleero ng'ennaku z'omwezi 21 omwezi gwa 11 mwaka 2023 bazeeyo mu Palamenti wakati wali webateeseza Mathias Mpuuga nsamba yakuta akazindalo nsonga kye bazizzaayo lwaki bali mu Palamenti gye baagamba tebagenda kuddayo nze naawe binnemye embiibya kambikuwe naawe byerabireko tunaamanyira wamu nsonga kye bazizza mu Palamenti gye balayidde nti tebagenda kuddayo batuvuddemu beevuddemu katubirabe.
Much obliged, Right Honourable Speaker. I join the Right Honourable Prime Minister in seconding the motion, paying tribute to the Honourable, the late Honourable Joyce Lovis Ampanga. Right Honourable Speaker, I like your choice of words in your preamble, the preamble of your communication, to the effect that this is very deserving. Of course, the Speaker has been around long enough to know that probably deserving has qualifications, and therefore some people are more qualified than others. So I join you in that agreement that actually this was really most deserving, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, we are here today to pay tribute to an astute leader, the Honourable Joyce Lovis Ampanga, who has diligently served this nation in all portfolios she held. On behalf of my family and the opposition in Parliament, I condole with the family and the rest of the country for the loss of Honourable Joyce Lovis Ampanga. Right Honourable Speaker, for her legacy and great contribution to our nation, the opposition in Parliament has elected to momentarily return to the House for this special sitting. Given her strong advocacy and impeccable record in the realm of the rule of law and respect of human rights and freedoms. I have used the word momentarily on purpose because then after we shall safely return to our clean bunkers until further notice. Right Honourable Speaker, the country mourns a spirited patriot, a mother, and an incorruptible leader who dedicated all her life prioritizing the interests of the people. She has been known as a woman of many fasts, and her accomplishments, well enumerated, have inspired many in the academic world and governance. She has been a renowned champion of women's rights, one of the first women to be nominated to the Uganda National Assembly, Legico as known then. First African woman lecturer in the Faculty of Education at Mackay University, first female graduate with a master's degree, first Minister of Women Affairs in Uganda, first female Minister for Primary Education in Uganda, and Girls High School's first African Deputy Headmistress. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, Honourable Mpanga's contribution to Uganda's education sector and development cannot be discounted. She has served in different capacities in the education sector rising from a classroom teacher to become a minister. She used this time and space to advocate for specifically girl child education. We shall remember her for her candid advisory to Mr. Museveni on the management of the sector, to wit, the management of universal primary education, and also the appointment of Mrs. Museveni as the Minister of Education, and of course the non-regulation of school fees in the private schools. Right Honourable Speaker, owing to the decline in the rule of law which characterized the post-independence era, Honourable Mpuuga left for England in exile a year after the attack on the Lobiri in 1966, and only returned to Uganda in 1972. While in exile, she switched back to her career as an elementary school teacher. Honorable Mpuuga, in her memo titled, "It's a Pity She's Not a Boy," she recounts the impunity that consumed and engulfed the 1970s regime, and how politicians often got drunk on power at the expense of the people they served. And I want to encourage you, Right Honourable Speaker, members of Parliament, to fall in love with reading and not read history for the sake of passing exams, but for knowledge as they are at the service of alma mater. She writes about a military officer who was the finance minister at the time, with all powers authorized for the currency exchange. She was in dire need of forex to evacuate her husband, a former Buganda Attorney General Frederick Mpuuga, for specialized treatment. The minister unfortunately summarily declined the application, and a few months later Mr. Mpuuga passed on. It is such injustices that motivated some individuals to take up arms under the guise of liberating the nation in the 80s. In that regard, the deceased has been a key pillar in the process of democratizing Uganda. Sadly, like many, as we speak today, all efforts to democratize our country are being undermined by the incumbent rulers through unconscionable amendments to the Constitution, impunity, outright disregard of the rule of law. Right Honourable Speaker and comrades, members of Parliament, I want to remind you that some of the very crucial things that prompted Honourable Mpuuga to flee to exile are in existence today. The enforced disappearance of our people, political persecution, and gross rights violations, which have again forced our countrymen and women to flee for safety. Until we address some of these issues, to democratize our country, it's not yet uhuru. Right Honourable Speaker, we recognize this granddaughter of this our motherland for her invaluable contribution to the restoration of traditional institutions. She will be remembered for her selfless service to His Majesty the Kabaka and the people of Uganda. Right Honourable Speaker, I'm a beneficiary out of her mentorship. You know, mentorship, the best form of mentorship is by role modeling. You don't need a board in front of you. And to some of us, loyal servants of His Majesty, she was a role model. People like the Honourable Muyingo, with whom we served, will attest to the fact that she was loyal. And we owe her. Right Honourable Speaker, as I conclude, I'd like to applaud her as a mother for taking care of her children. She's not leaving behind a problem to the nation, but rather very diligent servicemen and women of this, our motherland. We appreciate her. May the soul of our beloved mother, the Honourable Joyce Lovinsa Mpuuga, rest in eternity. We stand with the family in this moment of agony. His Majesty the Kabaka, where she served as a Luchiko member, and the nation at large for this great loss. I beg to submit.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Leader of Opposition. Independence, Honorable Mshemeza will represent the Dean of Independence.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I support the motion to pay tribute to the late Honourable Mpuuga. I knew the late for many years, but I'm going to pay tribute on 3 areas. The first one is in the area of gender equality and women's empowerment. The late made a fundamental contribution in formulating the national gender policy. I remember very well, she was very particular on the issue of gender mainstreaming. We need to reflect now, as we pay tribute to her, how far we have gone on the issue of gender mainstreaming. How are we performing on the issue of gender responsive budgeting? This is an area where we need to reflect as we remember the late Mpuuga. The second area I want to pay tribute is in education. I also recall very well that she made contribution to the education policy, and at that time, the review that led to the popular 1992 government white paper. I know right now there is also a process going on reviewing education, but this is the time to remember the late Mpuuga. And I believe if she was still alive, even in her old age, she would still make a contribution on the ongoing education review. The third area I want to pay tribute is in the area of integrity. Right Honourable Speaker, from what I observe, we are about to lose the war on corruption. We are about to lose the war on corruption. And the late Mpuuga was a person who was really a person of integrity, who would not engage in corrupt practices. And I want to suggest to Right Honourable Speaker that the 3 arms of government, you could have a caucus. I remember at the time of the term limit debate, I made a suggestion at that time that the 3 organs, the top leaders, could caucus, because there was a debate whether we should go for a referendum on term limit. Yet the Constitution was very clear that there is the issue that would be handled by Parliament. My wise counsel at that time was accepted. I want again to give a wise counsel that the leadership of Parliament, the leadership of the leadership of judiciary, and the executive have a caucus behind the scenes and talk about the issues of corruption. Because in my assessment, we are about to lose the war on corruption. As we remember the late Mpuuga, a person of integrity, a person who would not take a bribe or would not engage in corruption, this is the time to take these matters seriously. It is not enough to say we are going to fight corruption. We need to really to take the bull by its horns. May the soul of the late Mpuuga rest in eternal peace.
Thank you. So, honorable colleagues, I'm going to open up debate. In opening the debate, I will start with 4 people. First 4 people. 1, Honorable Muyingo. Then I will add on the 2 members of Parliament who are with her, with the late Joyce Mpuuga in Parliament. I know Honorable Cecilia Ogwar and Honorable Naume Kawasharira. If there is, and Honorable Namuyangu, I'd forgotten, yes. Then the member of Parliament, area member of Parliament for Rubaga where she has been, Honorable Abubakar Kawadia. Then I will open to the rest. Now, honorable colleagues, I would request, I don't want to start cutting you off, but be conscious that there are other colleagues who want to submit. Okay? Yeah, so just be cautious. The moment you go beyond, that's when I will interrupt you. Honorable Muyingo?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I stand here to support the motion to pay tribute to Owekitiibwa, the late Joyce Lovinsa Masembe Mpanga. Right Honorable Speaker, the cruel hand of death has robbed this country of a distinguished educationist, a great parent to many, a teacher, a role model, a performer. As you may have heard from the message that came from the Prime Minister, after she had completed her primary education in Nalinya Rwantale, which is in Luwero district, she went to Gayaza, where she was elected head girl for 2 consecutive years. This is not it has not happened to anybody before, just because of her great performance. Right Honorable Speaker, many of us in the education sector, she has been our role model. Many of the policies we have in the education, in the Ministry of Education, she greatly contributed, greatly. She wanted to see every child in Uganda of school-going age go to school, stay there until one completes the education cycle. When you read what she left behind, she really is right that we recognize her as a distinguished educationist, a distinguished parent, a great teacher who inspired many of us. I'll tell you, I followed the late very closely, especially when she joined the Ministry of Education. She has always used, even after here, she has always used a parliamentary language. I don't remember a day when she used insulting, abusive words as it happens these days. We shall remember her as a distinguished educationist, a charitable person, and a strong advocate of gender equality, inclusivity, a pioneer of the affirmative action interventions, as you heard, in admitting female students at Makerere University and other universities, as you can see now. Those days, it was just 1 or 2. And of course, you remember that she was a member of the National Council of Women, which, among others, lobbied the Odoki Commission about women's representation in Parliament and lower local government councils. Many of you, the ladies here in this house, this is something you should not take lightly. If it was not for her, life would have been very different. Right Honorable Speaker, while all of us are mourning, I want in a special way to extend my sincere condolences to Owekitiibwa David Frederick Kisitu Mpanga, your siblings, and the entire family. May God protect you, comfort you in this very trying moment. May her soul rest in eternal peace for God and my country.
Thank you, Honorable. Honorable Cecilia Ogwa.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. It is very important that we as women should appreciate this session, because it has allowed us to appreciate the role a woman can play if she is given an opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, while I pass my condolences to the family of Joyce Mpanga, I want to let you know that the whole of Africa is mourning the daughter of Uganda. who has fallen and whose memory has brought us today here. Right Honorable Speaker, the casket before us is of our dear sister, our dear friend, a freedom fighter, a dedicated wife, a widow who can feed orphans without begging anywhere, a woman who has demonstrated that you give me education, I can do anything over and above what a man can do. This is the lady before us. She was an educationist, a politician, a philosopher. I have thought of words. This son of mine, naughty one called Mwanga Kivumi, was asking me, are you going to speak to us in English or in Luo? I said, you try to understand what I'm saying. Don't care how I've said it. So I hope by now he's catching up. Right Honorable Speaker, Joyce Mpuuga left Uganda in tears, but also left Africa feeling that sense of loss. Because Joyce's role in the liberation struggle in the early days when women's role was purely in the kitchen and giving birth, that was the time Joyce stood up. The whole of Africa is standing with Uganda in mourning this great lady called Joyce Mpuuga. As you know, I'm the chair of the Uganda chapter of the Pan-African Women Organization. And it's important you come to know, you must know, that PAO, or Pan-African Women Organization, came to be before OAU came to be. Before African Union was formed, the women of Africa came together, including Joyce Mpuuga and some of our great women of Uganda, stood together and they gave birth to PAO in 1962 before OAU was formed in 1963. Really, how can you forget Joyce Mpuuga? Right Honorable Speaker, I've heard from the Prime Minister that Joyce was the first woman to be elected to the Legico, or Joyce probably was the first woman to represent women in the Legico. I think all of us must reread the answer and our history. My own understanding is that Joyce was elected in 1960. Joyce was elected in 1960 when Legico was elected in 1957 or 58. The process started in 57. And so the Legico was is already established in 1958, and there were women there. And you know very well that our own daughter, Florence Lubega, was one of the ladies by election in that Legico. So I just want us to understand a little better, because that's why when government is celebrating heroes of Uganda, they forget these giant heroes. These are heroes beyond heroes, who should be remembered before you think of anybody else. So you talk about heroes in Uganda. I'm urging the Prime Minister and the government, please remember those women. They were already bashed by the tradition and culture. They suffered. Today, all we are asking you to do is remember them. Remember the role they have played. That's all. They're not begging for anything. Now somebody is saying, oh, Joyce would have participated in the formation of policies. Joyce just died yesterday. How many times did you call on her to consult her for anything in the development of either women agenda or anything? She was an outstanding intellectual. Why didn't you call on her? We have here on the gallery, we have the Buteles. Yona Kanyomozi died, an outstanding economist. Nobody called on him to make a contribution. Let's wake up as Ugandans and use our own resources before we go out to look for Europeans. So Joyce, forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing. I want to enrich your history of Uganda, the history of girl child in Uganda. We were represented in the legislature by foreigners until eventually, slowly by slowly, even by nomination, people joined in. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm not here to talk about the usual that you people have talked about or the government has picked up from the Google's record. But I just want to say that we are celebrating the role played by our own Ugandan daughter in the legislature. Joyce did a lot, although she was not so much of a loud talker, but Joyce did a lot and used that quiet character of hers, confident, to push a lot for this country, not only for women, but for the whole entire education system, as the ministers were. Or my son David here. The wife decided to go. And we wait for 20 years or 30 years and say, now give us your accountability. You'll hear, he married this one, then left 2 children, then I... So really, and why I'm saying this, I want the Ministry of Education to stand up to the call we are making today. Let us increase the budget on girl child education. Because Joyce has been able to prove you educate a girl, you educate the entire community and the entire country. Joyce's children did not put a burden on the family of anyone. Did not put a burden on the government. The mother was able to stand up and provide for the family and the children. That is a commendable message, which has left with us, the women. So we must walk in our footsteps. Joyce Mama, thank you very much for what you have done. As a widow, you have left us a very rich history. You have not left shame with the children. You don't have to explain, this one, I think my half-brother, you know, after my father died, then something happened, I don't know. But then this... Right, Honorable Speaker, I am here to conclude.
Thank you.
I stepped on the live wire, I didn't know. But take it or leave it. Fellow mourners, the title of the book of our dear sister here is it sad news? Is not a boy, whatever it is. But I want us today to change that story. And I wish the family could agree. The second edition must start from today. That it is a blessing Joyce was a girl. That is the message. It's a blessing Joyce was born a girl. That is the message I want to leave here today. Speaker, whether you want to endorse it or not, I've spoken it. It is recorded in Parliament. It is a blessing that Joyce was born a girl. My dear family, I stand with you in this morning. We celebrate the life of our sister. We are not mourning. We are just celebrating her rich life. And we hope that the Lord God will lead us in that path, which is difficult to walk, but we will all try. May God bless you all.
Thank you. So, honorable colleagues, you've seen why, we needed to give our mama enough time But if you listen to her seriously, there are people we should be looking up to, but also looking out for. Last time when I came from visiting Mama Rhoda Karema, I told you, honorable colleagues, and I said, you can make arrangements and you reach out to such people. I know Mama Miri Obote, if you talk to Honorable Kena, would make some arrangements. My mother is in Mitoma, so it might be difficult for you to go to Mitoma and then you come back for a parliamentary sitting, so you can exclude her. We have those we know extremely very well that played a very, very critical role. And you can learn a lot from them, really a lot. And sometimes, to be honest, these people are ornery. They want to speak to us, but they can't reach us. They cannot come to Parliament to look out for us, but sometimes they want to speak to us, even writing to them, by the way. I saw, Father Grams, saying, I mean, he's looking for letters, just hearing from you. But above all, we would learn a lot from them. So I would encourage you, Honorable Colleague. And also, I usually move around. Most of the people who are reading books, they are carrying foreign books. Books of, and when you read books of such people, they are very, very great books. So I would really encourage you. And Mama Syria, thank you. Thank you very much. I really want to appreciate you. And I associate myself with the statements that you've made here. Honorable Namuyangu, and then Honorable Naomi Kabasharira. But Honorable colleagues, for you, you don't have that. So you don't have that privilege of Mama Cecilia, so please.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the people of Chibuku and the people of Bunyoro, where I'm deployed as a minister, I register our heartfelt condolences to the family, to the country, for the loss of yet another great daughter of Africa. Right Honorable, when I joined the Parliament as one of the first youth MPs, I had an opportunity to work with great women like Mpanga. She was a delegate worker, soft-spoken, very principled. But at that time, we used to have a forum where all the women legislators would come together very regularly. And we had these great women talk to us. They would mentor us. Joyce was one of them. They would not leave you the same as a younger legislator. Joyce was an advocate for gender equality, but also we learned a lot from her on her education journey, from a classroom teacher to a minister. And as a minister, she advocated a lot for the girl child. It was during that time, guided by the President, General Yoweri Museveni, where the girl child was even given an additional points to join the university. But also were spot on as women leaders to go and mobilize the girl child and the boy child to be in schools and stay until they complete their education. We have lost her. It is very, very unfortunate. At that time, women like Mpanga, Miriam Matembe, Her Excellency Dr. Kazibwe, Honorable Cecilia, Honorable Janet Mukwaya, Secretary Victoria, Rhoda Kalema, among others, would talk to us. So I want to pray, Right Honorable Prime Minister, that we need to have such a forum for women to come together and really engage each other. We have WOPA, but that is not enough because not all women are within WOPA. Yes, They would even bring men to talk to us in terms of mentoring and taking care of our families. And I can assure you at that time, you do not have breakaway families, because they would talk to us how to mentor our families, how to maintain the constituencies, how to serve the country. And indeed, I want to confirm that Honorable Joyce Mpanga was one of the transparent leaders at the time. We have missed her, and all we can say is that we need to emulate such women so that we carry forward what they started. To the family, I salute you, and indeed again we have a lot to learn. A younger widow, but able to educate all the children. They have become very responsible people who have added a building block to the country. I thank you, Speaker, and may the good Lord sustain the family of our beloved sister. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Namuyango, who has been in Parliament since NRC days, and she's getting younger every day that passes by. Maybe you need to talk to us on how you sustain yourself and the constituents. And
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance to talk about.
Tuchaguze fenna
Okay? Who were members of Parliament in 1996? No, I'm meaning in Parliament. Outside, your work outside Parliament, we have not yet recorded it here. 1996. Otherwise, very many worked with Mama. Very many. So I'm meaning those ones who are with her in Parliament 1996, 2001. So we have Honorable Akolmoy Janet. Yes, Honorable Akolmoy Janet.
Thank you very much.
96.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to pay tribute to a great lady, a celebrated educationist, a mother, a mentor. I was privileged, like my colleagues Honorable Naume and Honorable Namuyangu, to serve with her in the 6th Parliament. Although, of course, we keep serving, getting out, coming back, getting out, coming back. We have to keep remaining relevant. Right Honorable Speaker, I benefited a lot from the late Honorable Joyce Mpanga. When we came to this Parliament as young ladies, it was not so rosy the way it is now. Parliament was restricted to plenary. The other side where the speakers sit was Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Ministry of Constitutional Affairs. The speakers then used to sit where the accounts are now. There was no lift. There was nothing like MP's offices. There was no canteen. And if I talk about the salary, you will cry. But she mentored Kotido, which is the current Abim, the current Kabong, the current Karenga, and the current Kotido. It was such a large district. So I'm also getting tempted in future, when that amendment by my sister comes, we need to look at it. We have lost a great lady, a great mentor, a great educationist, a widow who stood on her own and did not leave shame. She has died at a time we needed her most. We needed her as our dictionary to take us through and tell us more about harmonious living. We have lost you, my elder sister. Condolences to the family. May your soul rest in eternal peace.
Thank you. Colleagues in the public gallery this afternoon, we have family members of the late Honorable Joyce Mpanga. They include Miss Grace Mpanga Mutesasira, a daughter. I hope I'm not repeating because Miss Nava Eva Mpanga, daughter. Mr. Dennis Paul Kauma, nephew. Mr. Roj Kawadia Kanyerezi, nephew. Mr. Geoffrey Ziwa, nephew. Mr. Fred Magandazi Chwa, nephew. Mrs. Namudu Musoke Kireka, niece. Mr. Kireka Kenneth, in-law. Mr. Fred Sospa Kawesa, in-law. Mrs. Adarina Rubogo, in-law. Miss Ansila Bategenya, in-law. And Mr. Simeon Kawanzi, first cousin. Please join me once again in welcoming them. In the public gallery this afternoon, we also have pupils and teachers of Mother Care Preparatory School from Wakiso District. They are represented by Honorable Seru Kenya David and Honorable Narima Betty Esther. But on a special note, we have in one of our daughters, Namirimu Melan, the daughter to Honorable Nachimuri Herin Woman MP Karangala. So we want to recognize you. Please stand up for recognition. Thank you. Yes, you can see some of us already training potential replacements. Thank you, Honorable. Honorable Kawadia Baker with the constituency MP, then I'll call on Honorable Semuju.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and honorable colleagues. I also stand here to support the motion of paying tribute to the late Joyce Mpanga. I'm speaking as the area member of parliament, but at the same time, I'm speaking as someone who has lost a sister or auntie. I come from the Nsenene clan, and that's where she also subscribes. The late had time for the young generation. I think as we've heard, very good things have been spoken about her. But what I remember about her is the time she always created for the young generation. I remember when I was a student at Makerere, would always invite her for most of the public lectures. And she always encouraged us on matters of leadership, most especially the involvement of ladies in politics. It is unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, that as we are speaking right now, the Committee of Presidential Affairs is handling a matter where some of our women MPs were manhandled by the security agencies that work at Parliament. She always protected the girl child. And I've heard some of her colleagues speaking on how she was very tough when it came to protection of women's rights. But my question is, those who served with her, do you always have time to mentor the young leaders that we have in Parliament? Because we have had complaints that those who served with her don't even have time to mentor the new generation. As residents of Rubaga, we have lost a nationalist. The Anglican Church have lost a serious citizen, most especially those who come from Lunguja, where she has been praying at St. Stephen's Church in Lunguja. The people of Uganda are mourning seriously, most especially those who agitate for the rights of women. We have lost a true leader who always stood by her words. Members, we are aware that we are in a generation where we have had elder leaders change their words. Today they are speaking this, tomorrow you will hear them speaking another thing. We have had people speaking that she always maintained her words. The question goes to most of us, do we always stand with our words? Most especially when it comes to violation of human rights. Honorable members and Mr. Speaker, sir, the late served her kingdom very well, and there is no single day where she missed the Ruchiko, unless if she was not in the country. She always attended most of public lectures, most especially those that concerns the rights of freedom and protection of the girl child. Right Honorable Speaker, when it came to rule of law, for a few of us who got time to sit with her, she always told us that, my young boys, I know you're facing a lot of challenges, but at least make sure that you do whatever it takes to fight for the Constitution. The time she was serving as a member of Parliament, when most of the laws were formulated, that at least for them they knew that whatever was being done at that time was going to be maintained. But are we maintaining what was formulated during their times? I'm speaking this as a member of Parliament who always had time to visit her and learn a lot from her. Women emancipation was always on her mouth, and I'm glad that the former Member of Parliament, Honorable Miriam Matembe, is here. She's among the few leaders who have always stood at least to make sure that women's rights are being protected. We expect the elderly leaders also here in this house to do the same. Questions are always being asked in the public by the people of Uganda that indeed, do we have leaders who protect women's rights? Yes, I'm one of the leaders who are here in this parliament, well knowing that I'm going to serve for a certain period of time, I will go. As women leaders, do we always have time to mentor young leaders, most especially women? Or what we do is to make sure that we protect ourselves in those seats that we are carrying right now. This is what I used to get from her, because there is a day when we asked her as young leaders that what did you do to serve the people of Mubende, and you reached a time and said that I'm not going to come back and contest. She said, as leaders, you have your time, but you must know one thing, that there are young people down there who are also ready to do what you're doing. So, as a member of Parliament who was serving her, at the same time as the Shadow Minister for Kampala, I kindly request this August House that we instruct KCCA, where she has been residing, to gazette one of the roads in Kampala in respect to her service that she rendered to this country. May her soul rest in peace. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable. I thought you were also going to say, I want for her example and serve one term and not offer myself again. So, but on the issue of mentorship, I want really allow me to protect my colleagues. Colleagues, mentorship is about you to know that you need to be mentored. People won't look out for you. I know some of us we are even difficult to mentor. Some of us. I have sent one of the MPs whom I knew needed mentorship. I sent her to Honorable Cecile Ogwa. Attended one session. Said, I didn't come to school. I already know it. Yes. And she took off. She's never gone back. Okay? So because she's demanding, you want to see you in Parliament, she wants to see you preparing for a session, but we want to just come in, we don't want to be mentored. Ask these people. I don't know who has approached Katuntu, who has approached Janet, approached Vumbi here, who has approached Honorable Byarugaba, Namuyangu for mentorship. You know, Mwijuchi has approached me for mentorship and I have done my part. So, so Honorable colleagues, it's very important. Now I had picked Honorable Semuju.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to begin by extending my condolence to the family of late Honorable Joyce Mpanga. Mr. Speaker, at the beginning, our society glorified excellency. That's why the Joyce Mpangas were able to make it to the top. I want to ask, Mr. Speaker, I am not one of the supporters of affirmative action. And made a call that
and we hope.
Okay, byebyo ebiri mu Parliament abaka ba opposition abakulirwa Mathias Mpuuga Nsamba Bazeeyo leero naye ensonga tugitegedde badde bazizaayo kwe kuonalinga n'okusabira n'okusiima emirimu mu kyalo ekitiibwa Mpanga ze yakolera eggwanga lino era n'okuba nti be bamu abatandika eggwanga lino okulifuula eggwanga ery'omulembe n'okuba nti abakyala ate nabo bafuuka ab'amaanyi mu ggwanga n'okubatendeka okufuuka ekiriwo olunaku lwa leero. Tusaasira nnyo abakona ab'eŋŋanda olw'okufiibwako maama ono jjajjaffe sengaffe na buli munnayuganda yenna obwakabaka bwa Buganda na buli omu gy'oli abafiiriddwa era abasaaliddwa maama waffe jjajjaffe sengaffe Joyce Mpanga okuba nti ate yavudde mu bulamu obw'ensi. Tusaba Lugabana Mugereka Ddunda mu ekiwummulo eky'emirembe n'ekitangala eky'olubeerera kimwakire atebenkere emirembe. Mbaagala nnyo mwenna abaliko mwebale kubaako Mukama tunasaba bankuumire tujja kuba tuddamu tubyogera ebigambo mweraba.